Good afternoon and welcome to Educate to Motivate's email marketing webinar. I'm Jessie Crawford and I'm joined today with my colleague Chelsea Cagle. We're happy you are able to join us for this presentation. Today, Chelsea and I will be discussing email marketing and how it is still in the lead for the digital marketing efforts. So pay close attention as we examine what marketing is, why you should use it, what email marketing providers are out there, how to build your email list, and who should be included. And lastly, you'll want to stay tuned till the end of the call when we finish off with tips to keep in mind when setting your emails. Before we start today's call, here are a few housekeeping items. We will hold questions until the end of today's call, and there are two ways you can ask those questions. On your GoToWebinar toolbar, there is a hand icon. Click on that if you'd like to ask a question, and I will unmute you, and you may pose your question. Then you can also type questions into the chat box throughout the call, and then we'll monitor those and answer them throughout and at the end of the call. Today's program is being recorded, and then this is a reminder to help that our goal is to in this call is to help provide you with the highest level of expertise and service possible, and to remind you that we are a resource to help you succeed. And you can view this recording and others by visiting our YouTube channel, and it's up on the screen right now, and that's youtube.com, username educate2motivate LLC. And then you can also feel free to visit our website, www.educate2motivate, to explore all of E2M's service offerings. And then we're going to start off with Chelsea, who's going to start today's presentation with what exactly email marketing is.
Thanks, Jessie. We're going to start off our webinar today by explaining what email marketing is exactly, and we'll offer up a few tips. The definition of email marketing is marketing to a specific group of people through the use of electronic mail, or what we all know it as email. Any email communication can be considered email marketing if the intent of the email is to educate, promote, or build brand recognition and awareness to customers, prospects, centers of influence, and referral sources. So whether you currently have email marketing in place or if you are considering implementing it, here are a few tips to keep in mind. Make sure you're providing value by educating your readers with informative content such as current events, industry trends, and any other resourceful articles. In a study done by Earnest Agency, 72% of readers were most likely to share useful content via email. We suggest self-promoting second. Providing educational content for your readers should be the first thing that you do before you promote yourself, your business, and your products and services. So basically, if your emails are only trying to sell your products and services, it's going to get pretty old pretty fast for your readers. So include compelling, useful, and relevant content to keep your readers coming back for more. So before Jessie explains why you should use email marketing, I am going to throw up a quick poll so we can gauge our audience. How many of you currently use email marketing? Are people responding, Jess?
Yes, it looks like we have 75%, so if we could just get a few of you to respond, this will just help gauge the rest of the webinar. It looks like majority of our audience, though, are using email marketing as part of their marketing efforts. So that's good to know. All right, if we could just go ahead and move on. So we're going to, why use email marketing might be a question that you're asking yourself. Email marketing is a crucial part of any digital marketing plan, and if it isn't, it should be. Since 68% of marketers say it is the core to their business, digital marketers consider email the most effective digital tactic for building awareness, boosting acquisition, and increasing conversion. And I mentioned that just prior, but we're going to, and then also that 4,300% email marketing is cost effective with the return on investment. So that's a huge percent that's going to be an ROI. 74% of consumers prefer to receive commercial communications via email, which means that the consumers prefer email from brands over any other type of contact through any other channel. And then despite social media and mobile apps, email remains the #1 way for marketers to keep in touch with their customers. So if it's the top of the game that everyone's using, you're just going to be falling behind. So you're going to want to make sure to jump on it now. And then before we move into where you can find an email marketing provider, this poll is going to help have us get an information on the audience. And this is, what email provider do you use for your email marketing? Since 75% of you said that you are incorporating email marketing into your marketing efforts, we're going to want to understand who you are using. And this is, we have MailChimp, Constant Contact, Infusionsoft, and other. And if you are using none of the above, you can say none. And when Chelsea moves forward, she's just going to explain where and what you should be looking for when finding a marketing provider. And it seems, Chelsea, that 43%, so almost half of our audience, use Constant Contact. About 30 are other, and then 30 is none. So it looks like MailChimp and Infusionsoft are at the end of the totem pole for this one. But if you want to go ahead and move on to how and what everyone should be looking for when picking an email provider.
Okay, great. So where can I find email marketing providers? Companies that use an email provider are more likely to be satisfied with their email marketing efforts than companies who don't use a provider. So we're going to highlight 4 of the popular email providers today. The first one is MailChimp, which it sounds like some of you might be familiar with it, but nobody uses it. MailChimp is an email marketing service provider that was founded in 2001. It has 6 million users that collectively send over 10 billion emails through the service each month. The cost of MailChimp varies anywhere from $10 a month to $505 a month. And then this will apply to all of the providers that we talk about today. But the cost will depend on how many emails you send and how many subscribers you send to. For MailChimp, you must provide your own content and you must send it yourself. The second provider that we're going to talk about is Constant Contact, which sounds like a lot of you use. Constant Contact is an online marketing company that offers email marketing, social media marketing, online survey, event marketing, digital storefronts, and local deals tools, primarily to small businesses, nonprofit organizations, and membership associations. The cost for Constant Contact starts anywhere from $20 a month and goes until $195 a month. And again, like I said earlier, it depends on how many emails are sent and how many subscribers you have on your list, and that you must provide your content for this and you must send it yourself. Thirdly is Infusionsoft, which is an integrated email marketing platform designed for small businesses with fewer than 25 employees, and it lets users manage their small business. And the cost for this is anywhere from $199 a month to $379 a month. And again, you must provide your own content and you must send it yourself. And last but not least is Educate to Motivate. And E2M is an email marketing system containing 12 customized newsletters per year for attorneys and financial professionals. We design your template for you, write the content, and then send it to your clients, prospects, and referral sources on your behalf. Our cost starts anywhere from $99 a month, and you can upgrade to $249 a month depending on the features that you desire. We create your template for you, and here's just an example of a template that we've made. It can include your headshot, a logo, company colors, and then links to your social media and your website. We do send the newsletter out on your behalf, and then we provide the content in 2 different niches, estate planning and business planning. So now you might be asking yourself what you should be looking for in an e-newsletter provider, now that you know some of the companies that are out there. So we highly suggest outsourcing it. Outsourcing is a very cost-effective strategy for your business. This means that the attorney or the advisor doesn't have to spend the time writing the content and then having someone in his or her office learn how to use the email provider. Hire an expert to write, send, and publish to save you the time and the money. And according to a report from Ascend2, 40% of respondents said that creating relevant and compelling content for email is the most difficult email marketing tactic to execute. And design and content is the most time-consuming email activity for marketers. So outsourcing your email marketing is your best option. The second suggestion is to be choosy when picking an email provider to go with. Don't necessarily pick the first company that shows up in your Google search. Choose a company that specializes in your industry so you have quality, relevant content. Another perk is using a company that offers features like lead notification, detailed reporting, and most importantly, a good price. So each of them offers both lead notification and weekly detailed reporting in our email marketing service. These notifications make it easier for you to follow up with your readers because you actually get alerted immediately when someone clicks on your links in your newsletter if they're interested in a call or scheduling a meeting. So not only is outsourcing a smart idea, but alerts like this will help save you time as well. Okay, once you've decided on an email provider that you'll want to use, the next step is building your email lists and determining who the recipients of your emails should be, which Jesse's going to go over now.
Thanks, Chelsea. So if your business has an online presence then it has the opportunity that exists to build a very effective email marketing list. A targeted email list is just as important as targeting your content that's being sent out. And targeting an email list allows you to constantly nurture prospects by providing them with information and offers in order to eventually turn them into a revenue-producing conversion. So a couple things to keep in mind when building your email list, and some easy ways to grab contacts to build this list is the first suggestion is contacts in your database. And having an email marketing platform available that will help you easily generate opt-in forms, create lists, manage subscribers, deploy emails, and track performance is key to keeping your list fresh and up to date. HubSpot says that your email marketing database degrades about 25% every year. So as a marketer, it's your job to make sure you're constantly adding fresh contacts. So this means that you're going to want to pay attention to the contacts that are currently in your database and making sure that you're constantly refreshing those and updating email addresses if somebody switches companies. So pay attention to auto offices or any emails that you're receiving after emails have been sent out. Another way to build it is using social media to encourage signups. It's a really nice opportunity that social media allows, and that's just staying in front and in touch with anyone that's following you or a LinkedIn connection. So asking LinkedIn connections, Twitter followers, and Facebook fans to sign up for your email newsletters, it lets them know that you're out there and that you are sending these. And a nice way to add to this is letting them know what your emails will include, whether they be webinar invites or special offers or just weekly articles. It's a nice way for them to opt into what type of content they want to hear about. Forward to a colleague is the third one, and this is something that we include in our templates through E2M. It's also something you can add to your own templates if you'd like. To include an invite a colleague is a call to action on your newsletter so that readers can easily sign up coworkers who might find the content to be resourceful. So when Chelsea showed you the template earlier in the presentation, it's on the left that we just have on the left column on the template, we have a nice forward to a colleague, and that just invites a colleague to register for the email. So for the email template or newsletters, I'm sorry. So that's just an easy way for you to pass along information. So including that in your template will then allow other readers to forward it along. Some tips to finish off this segment are add contact forms to your website so that contacts can be easily imported into your database. Any business cards that you receive at networking events or conferences should be added to your database. So adding them in right away, whether it be an intern or an admin, but making sure you're getting those business cards and making sure you're labeling those by types will help segment your list right away, and also will allow you to add them to a newsletter database. Segmenting your list, which is something I just touched on, based on the content going out in the email is very important and trivial to making sure that you're keeping what's important to the readers alive in your newsletters. So segmenting your list will also allow you to segment the content. If you have readers receiving your emails but aren't opening or clicking, a nice polite way to send a quick email to make sure they still want to be included on your list is always a nice personal touch that's going to allow your readers maybe to keep opening those, or maybe an easy way for them to opt out. And one last thing I just want to touch on before we move to the next segment, when you should send your email. If you are interested more about adding to your email list, make sure to stay tuned to our blog next week, which we will further explore how to build a killer email marketing list for your business. And now Chelsea's going to move into when you should be sending your email marketing.
Okay, so the next question that you need to ask yourself is, when should I use email marketing? So we believe companies should always be using email marketing. This doesn't necessarily mean sending out all the time, but email marketing should definitely be incorporated into your digital marketing plan and should be used on a consistent basis. So if you're starting to incorporate email marketing into your marketing plan, we suggest sending no more than 2 times a week. If you send more than that, the material may not get read or can come off as unimportant. According to Chadwick Martin Bailey, 69% of subscribers say that too many emails is the #1 reason people unsubscribe from a company's mailing list. So obviously you don't want to be bombarding your readers with emails. And then always remain consistent. Providing your readers with regular, timely newsletters is a must in building a loyal reader base. Direct Marketing Association's National Client Email report states that 35% of marketers contact an address on their list 2 to 3 times a month, and 20% of respondents send 4 to 6 times a month. So whether you send 2 to 3 times a month or if you send 4 to 6 times a month, just try to keep it as consistent as possible from month to month. And then for those of you who are on our digital marketing plan webinar, you've heard us say this before, but we highly recommend creating a send calendar for your email marketing, including what the content is that will be going out, when it will be going out, who the target audience is, and if you have more than one person doing your marketing, be sure to include the name of the person that is in charge of the specific marketing campaign. This will help you stay organized, keep a consistent schedule, and prevent any confusion throughout the marketing department. And then Jessie is going to go over just some general marketing email tips to keep in mind.
Thanks, Chelsea. So tip number 1, and that's personalize. And we have a little smiley face next to that because it is very important to put some personality into your emails. And we actually covered that on our video blog this past week. And we talked about how adding a little bit of a personal touch into your emails, where Chelsea recorded a couple different tips on how to add that into your current email marketing. So some suggestions that we are going to label out here is the subject lines of the emails. Personalize them there. You could just do it by simply adding the person's name. So you could say, Chelsea, make sure to register for this week's webinar. Another thing is the domain name and sender name. It's more common for somebody to open up an email if you use a personalized domain name to the sender. And it's less likely marked as spam if it's a person's name and easily identifiable as a recipient for a better chance of recognizing the name. So it'll come off a little more trustworthy. Tip number 2 is subject lines with 6 to 10 words have a 21% open rate. And what this tells you is that it's going to have more likely of an open rate if you have a shorter subject line. It's said that business and finance industries, average open rate is about 20%. A click-through rate is about 3%, and a soft bounce is about 1%. The average open rate and click-through rate and bounces for legal industry is about 21%, with a click-through rate of 3 and soft bounce as 1. So this is just telling you that you're going to want to make sure to average out with a 21% open rate with a 6 to 8 subject line.
Okay, and then tip number 3 is be sure to use a reporting software to measure your email marketing success. So I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about what to look for in your email provider. 17% of marketers don't track their email marketing metrics for their organizations. Analyzing your open rates, response rates, unsubscribes, and bounce rates will help you modify your content and your delivery method to meet the needs of your readers. And then tip number 4 is, if you're worried about emails coming off as spam, don't be. According to a study done by Return Path, less than 1 subscriber and every 2,000 will mark an email as spam. So the majority of people, if they're uninterested in your email, they won't mark it as spam. They usually just unsubscribe or they delete the email.
All right, tip number 5, video increases click-through rates in emails. And this is a great way to reach people who are visual learners. As we mentioned with our video blog, it's a nice way to rotate between something that's a written blog content to a visual content, using a thumbnail image and link that to the video on a landing page to save memory and space throughout your website. And Marketing Profs states that the thumbnail images linking to videos have been found to be up to 5 times more effective than just a link to the video. So that's always a nice way to establish just a thumbnail image on any type of email or your blog that then transfers to the actual video. Always test your emails is going to be tip number 6, and this is very important because this is going to help keep you out of spam and make sure that your emails are actually being sent. So a software that we use or program is Email and Acid, and we just make sure that using the software, it's going to make sure that everything looks accurate, everything in the HTML coding is correct, and that there's everything, the tags and are fully executed. This also allows you to preview about 70 emails, which are going to be all the different all the different email providers. So 3 of the ones that are most important to us and that you should be paying attention to are the desktop clients, for example, Outlook, browser clients, which would be Yahoo or Gmail, and mobile clients, which are iPhone. So you're just going to pull those into the Email on Acid and make sure that those previews look accurate and things are falling into the right template and not all over the place, because there's nothing worse than opening up an email and it not looking right away, mark it spam and delete it. So tip number 7, the last tip, is very important, and this is abide by the law. For those who are familiar, the CAN-SPAM Act. And for those who aren't, it's a law that sets the rules of commercial email and establishes requirements for commercial messages. It gives recipients the right to have you stop emailing them and spells out tough penalties for violations. And some bullets from this is allows you to don't use false or misleading header information, don't use deceptive subject lines, identify the message as an ad. It tells recipients where you're located, tell recipients how to opt out for receiving future emails from you. A nice thing that Gmail just added is in the body of any emails that are being sent to the Gmail user is it allows you to just unsubscribe. So whether or not the email sender had included an unsubscribe at the end of their email and the beginning of the email, Gmail also allows you now to unsubscribe through their database, which is awesome. But you always, always, always need to allow an opt-out from receiving future emails. Otherwise, you can be fined with the penalty of the violation. So honor the opt-out request promptly. So make sure before you send out your next emails that you're going to be taking off those unsubscribe. Something that's nice with databases, something that we use for our database is the unsubscribe automatically takes them off of our database. So it's not something that we manually have to do. But if it is something that you are manually doing, that make sure that you're doing it before the next send. And then monitor what others are doing on your behalf. So the CAN-SPAM Act law just really gives a detailed list on what you should and shouldn't be doing when sending out your emails. And that's something that E2M abides by all of their sends, which is a great thing. So it kind of takes that off the plate of our customers for you, who you're sending to, so you don't have to worry because we're all abiding by the law. And then to finish off, Chelsea's going to be concluding the webinar.
Thanks, Jess. So as we do conclude our webinar, we would like to ask you to take just a few seconds to answer our final poll. Did you find this webinar to be informative? We hope you did, but we would like to just throw a quick poll up there just to see how the audience felt about it. If you have topics that you'd be interested in learning more about or suggestions on ways that we can help you or things that we can do to help you, please feel free to email us. All right, have people answered the poll?
Yes, I just closed the poll, so you're set to move forward.
Okay, great. So like I said, if you have anything that you would like us to discuss, we do video blogs, webinars, any kind of written blog. Email us at e2m@educatetomotivate.com, and we can take all those into consideration. So are there any questions in the audience?
We do have a couple.
Okay.
So we have two from Peter Morse, and the first one is he said that he heard that emails with videos have a much higher rate of ending up in spam. Is that true? It depends on how you are embedding them. We suggest not actually embedding them into the email, but embedding them through a hyperlink, and which then also brings the reader to your website. So producing a good landing page is always beneficial. So not only is tracking your click-through rate on your email, but then it's also transferring that lead to your website. So then they're more likely to be just scaling through your website. So then his second question kind of goes along with that, and his email open rate is 22%. That's great. So you're meeting average, Peter. But our click-through rate when we send with a video is only 10% of the 20% opens. Any thoughts on why? So it could be your call to action. So we suggest trying to run through some different A/B testing, and you can either do that by maybe trying an image to say click here to view the video, and then you can try switching up what you're actually, how you're wording the call to action. So you could say click here, you can say subscribe now. I would suggest testing that. I would also suggest taking out the image because it could be maybe some of the images are being caught, and so that somebody's not actually seeing the image displayed in the newsletter and the body, so it might come up as an X, so they might not see where the hyperlink is. So I would suggest just also just doing a simple hyperlink with the wording and hyperlinking that to the video. So hopefully that answers your question. Another question we have, Chelsea, is, unless you have something to add to that, I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I was just going to say a lot of, and you kind of talked about it, but a lot of email databases, you have to click on the show the image before it'll pop up, so that could definitely be playing into that. And then kind of what you said too, just suggesting using just words saying like click here to view this, and then seeing if that ups it, and then if you see that your click-through rates are increasing and getting better, then maybe try doing an image then.
Mm-hmm. Another thing too that is important that you could be trying to do is we're actually placing the call to action on the newsletter body. We always try to do an image as well as some type of underline hyperlink that actually is pointing to the same landing page, so the same video or the same blog post. And we try to label the two different campaigns so that we know whether or not they're clicking maybe in the beginning of the email or they're clicking at the bottom of the email, because sometimes it could be two where their eye is naturally flowing through the email. So they might, if it's at the top fold of the email body, it could be, they always say that has a higher click-through rate. So also test not only what your call to action is to the video, but where you're placing the call to action. So maybe switch it up. Okay, let's see. We have a next question. For testing emails with different email providers, what companies do you use? So we personally use Email and Acid. I'm not familiar with any others besides just our database that we use for our Goldmine, which is what we currently use. But Email and Acid gives you a really nice just a report on what, not only with the HTML coding, but it will show you a preview on what you're going to be seeing if you were using, let's say, Gmail or if you were using Outlook. Because one of the top providers that we have problems with is Outlook for some reason, probably because it's a desktop database. It always comes up, the formatting comes up a little differently, so it's reading the HTML coding differently. So if you're going to be putting a lot of visual or colors or anything such along the lines of that into your template, it might come up differently on a different database. So visually appealing, or the visual like preview on email and assets, a really nice option. Let's see what
Can I
else
add
is.
to that? Another thing that we do before we send anything out is we like to do a lot of testing just to make sure everything looks great on, across the spectrum. So we not only use email on ACID, but then we'll also go through and we will just send practice tests to our personal Gmail accounts, obviously our Educate to Motivate and our Vision accounts, and then we also do like Yahoo, we do AOL. I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing that. Just I would rather, know for
Sure, it
sure
looks
that
right.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, and it also helps too to see if it's being caught in spam, because there's been times where we sent out a newsletter with an educational piece, and it was about same-sex marriage, but because the subject line had sex in it, it was automatically sent into our spam, and we didn't even think about it since we had, we weren't saying anything inappropriate, but to the email world, it was getting caught right away in spam due to this our vocabulary choice. So that's also a nice way is what Chelsea is saying, just to send it to as many different email providers as you can. Okay, so if anyone would like to ask a question to the group, you can raise your hand. Otherwise, you can type in more questions into the chat box. Otherwise, if you think of any after the webinar, like Chelsea mentioned, feel free to email us at e2m@educate2motivate, and both of those twos are the number 2. And then stay tuned for our next video vlog or our next video blog, or vlog as we say, which will be on building a killer email list. So it's going to be important to stay tuned for that. And then,
just to go along with Jesse, we post all of these onto our YouTube channel, and all of our recorded webinars will be on our YouTube channel as well. And you can find all of our written blog posts on our social media channels, so be sure to check those out as well.